Okie dokie. Back to actually making something. So we're going to start with some primitives so that we have some concept of how this might work. If you click on, what did I just do? I clicked on box. Okay, so box is anything that's going to be rectangular. It does not have to be cube-shaped. It could be rectangular, and it could be fairly flat. So for example, as we are working, let's say I want to construct something that's going to be box-like as my amp. Great. First of all, I need to select a plane to put my first side on, because we have some options here. I clicked this plane so that I am working on my flat area here. Now you'll notice as I drag this out, use 2 fingers and push that back a little bit. As I drag this out, I have some numbers, right? Ta-da. Let's say, for example, that I wanted this side of, or the bottom in this case, of my amp to be maybe, whoops, uh-oh. That's what happens when you get moving your fingers around your keyboard too much. Okay, try that again. All right, so you see we have 3 planes to pick from. We have this vertical plane, we have this vertical plane in behind, and we have the flat bottom plane. I'm just going to start on the bottom for now. You can start anywhere. If you can center it over the X in the middle, you can pick your grid, whatever. Okay, so I'm going to make this 70 millimeters. 7 centimeters. That's not very big. Let's make that bigger. Make it 100 anyway. Millimeters by 150 millimeters. Fabulous. And I can hit enter, hit return, and there's my plane. Now it automatically bumps you up 5 millimeters. Let us think for just a moment about the materials that we are using. We have 3 millimeter plywood that you may choose to use. If that's the case, make it 3 millimeters high. That would make some sense, right? So I'm going to make it a 3 millimeter piece of plywood, and it is 100 millimeters by 150 millimeters, and that looks about okay. Okay. Oh, the other thing is, notice that it's going to create a new body. Of course it is. It's the only body on the plane. Not a problem. Now, I can pinch to zoom out. That's a good thing. If I wanted to look at this straight down and zoom out, I could do that. I could look at it straight from the end, which doesn't really help me very much. I can orient this 3/4. Click on the corner up here, orient it this way. Hey, that's not so bad. All right, now I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Now the next thing I want to do is build on a vertical plane here. So I'm going to put another one in. I'm going to go grab another box. Seems counterproductive, but another box. You can select this plane to make your next side be a 90 degree to the bottom, or you can select a plane of an object you've already built. So I could click on the plane of that edge of the board, and then I can go over here and let me zoom in a little bit. Let me see what we're doing. Use that pinch motion. Go over here to this corner and start from here for my first corner. And then, knowing that the length, right, is going to be, not that one, oops. I can use my tab key to move between these boxes, back and forth and back and forth. I want that to be 150 because that's the length of that original board. So now they're going to line up. And I want my height perhaps to be, and I can hit my tab again and bring me back here. Perhaps I only want my height to be 80 for some reason. And then I'm going to hit return. And I'm going to zoom out so I can see what I just did. Ooh, hey, look at that. Okay. Now I have a default of 1 millimeter. Not quite sure why, but it's 1 millimeter. Maybe I hit something along the way. I want this to be 3 millimeters. So that's going to be my depth, okay, for that. So now I have another side, and it's on my, oops, you know what we want to do? Aligned to my other piece. Now the question is, do I want that here, or do I want my bottom to be underneath the whole thing? In which case I would then need to move this on top of the bottom surface. Let me show you what I'm talking about. But first of all, this wants to, because the default when you have two bodies touching each other but not dividing or cutting through, the default operation is join. I don't want to join them. I want to leave them separate so I can move them around. To do that, I have to go down here and say, new body, please. So let's do new body, okay? Then when I click OK, go over here at bodies, you can see I have two bodies. I have that body and I have that body. Yay. So now I want to take this one and I want to move it. And you have a couple of options. You can modify, move, or you can just hit your M key. No command, control, anything, just M. And you can move this guy. Now, I know I want to move it up, or my Z distance, 3 millimeters, right? Yay, because that is the height of the board. Let me zoom in. You can see what I'm doing. Do you see how I just moved that from being on the Cartesian plane to being at the top of this board? Spiffy. Next, I want to move it in this direction, right? I want to move it in that direction for, that is my Y distance, another 3 millimeters. Ha! See how much easier it is to type that in and have it be accurately placed than it is to start dragging things around. Because you can drag all kinds of things, but you're not likely to be able to get it to line up just by dragging it. Let's just put it that way. Now, there are other things I could do. If I wanted to, say, for example, stack them one on top of the other for some reason, I could do that. I can align one plane to another. In fact, let's do that next. Let's try that next. All right, but I should probably finish this first. So I moved the X and the Y. Everybody's happy. We're going to click OK. Fantastic. There's two sides. Now, let's say I want to make another side. Oops, not modify. Create. Another side to my box. And I'm not really paying attention. I kind of want it somewhere, but I don't know where I just placed it, but it's on a vertical. And I know I kind of want it, let's see. I want the height to be, that was 90. Did I make that 90? No, I made it 80 before. So that's no problem. And the other one, I still want to be 150 because I want it to match the length of the other guy. Which I think I did. Might be a little bit big. Now, because I wasn't really paying attention and it intersects with this other one, it makes it pink because it thinks it's going to cut, right? If we go here, see how I kind of just put that randomly anywhere? Because they intersect, this thinks that I want to cut that out. I don't. I don't at all. So we're going to make a new body. Now it still looks like it's cutting, right? Still looks like it's cutting into that. But it's not actually going to, if I move it after I create it, it's not going to leave a hole. So that's important. And remember, we don't want this to be 5 millimeters. We want it to be 3 millimeters. And it turns out I don't really want it to be 150 wide. I want this width, right? What did I do? I want this width to be, it's 100, but, right? It's 100 at the base. If it's 100 at the base, and I just subtracted 3 millimeters for the width of this guy, then I also need to subtract 3 millimeters for width on the other side, which gives this minus 6 millimeters from 100 millimeters is going to be 94 millimeters. Trust me. Okay. And our height is still 3 because I'm still working with my 3 millimeter wood. And new body, right? Boop. All right. So here's my thing. Now, this is in no way, shape, or form where I want it to be. So let's do this a little bit differently. Let's align. Here we go. Align. We want to align a face. Alignable object. Well, fine. Ah, we could do this. We could do the corner. We'll align this corner to this corner. Oh, I clicked and it was not quite there. So we have to redo a little bit. Ah, nope, it lined up just fine. I clicked on the right place, but I need to scooch it over, in this case, to the right, the 3 millimeters, because that other 3 millimeters on the edge is going to be for my other side, right? So that's not so bad. We've aligned. Okie dokie. Now I want to, again, click my M key for move. We're going to move an object, and we're moving my body number 3. If you just click on a face, you're only going to move a face. So make sure you click on the whole body. Then we can move that along our y-axis, y distance. Fine, I'll put it over here. 3 millimeters. Hit tab. Nope. Ah, interesting. I forget. So you'll notice that I moved it 3 millimeters, but I moved it in the wrong direction because there's a positive and there's a negative. So now, in order to get that to fill the gap, I'm going to go minus 6. Oops, no, I'm not. Minus 3 because it already moved the 3 back when I had the 0 in there. There we go. Okay. So we've moved it. We click OK. Things look pretty good. Things are all lined up. You see how this is working? Now, as we are building this, we are considering the materials we're planning to use so that when we explode this view, and we'll look at exploded views in a minute, you've already got the parts and pieces to pull apart. If I had merely said to myself, what happens if I just build a, select a plane, and put this over here, select a box, make a box, yada yada, and make a box here, right? I can do that, and of course we'd type in dimensions and all that good stuff. And then we can hit modify shell. Oh dear. And we want to cancel. We want to select a body, modify shell. There we go. So, and an inside thickness of 3 millimeters. Okie dokie. Did we do it? Oh, we did, but it's hollow. Let's go from here. Oops. If you right-click on one of your, sorry, this is your history bar down here. I get all carried away. If you right-click on one of the objects here, the things that happened, you can edit it or delete it. We're going to delete the shell. So I can go back here, click on the top, modify, shell from there, 3 millimeters, okie dokie, and that'll preview it for you, right? There we go, and then we can hit return. So you're like, well, that was a lot faster. Why didn't I just build my box that way? Well, except now when you go to explode it, you have to go get all of your construction planes and put the planes in and offset them 3 millimeters and then slice through and make sure you do it in the right order so that you have bodies that you can then pull apart. Because this is all one body, and that does not help you later. So please, please, as you are constructing, think about how you will build that. Now, does that mean you can't do fun things and make cool angles? Well, of course not. You can do all sorts of really fun things. But it means that you're thinking about the materials and construction techniques that you're going to be using down the line. Now, FYI, if you want to keep a thing that you made but just not see it, you can just click off the little light bulb. It's kind of like the eyeball in any of the Adobe products. Say I wanted to keep that for, I don't know, instruction purposes later. You could do it that way. Okay, so that's the building part. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Actually, maybe not. This has probably been long enough. That is the basic build, thinking about construction techniques, alignment, and being able to type in dimensions. Those are important things. The only other thing I'm going to show you while we're here, because it makes it a little more exciting, is doing the fillet and chamfer for an edge. Let's say, and this only do this if you think you're going to be like, that you're actually going to do this. When you have something put together, you could, nope, okay, so I have to zoom in more. You might decide, that you want to fillet or chamfer an edge, and it's a great way to like make a curve, right? And if we're doing 3mm wood, you can actually cut that out using the laser cutter, so it's not something you have to hand cut or hand sand to get that to work. But that lets you have some changes in your shapes that way. Kind of interesting. Anyway, that's an option. So that's called a fillet. And if you wanted to chamfer instead of making it rounded, and again, go to that. Get the edge, the line, not the point. You can do the point too, but that you don't want to do that right now. Chamfer will do this at an angle. So if you want to, like, an angle instead of a curve, that's your chamfer. Okay, so that's good for screencast number 2 in this little series, although you don't have to watch them in order. Basic building with your box. Yay!